What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of B is for Boat. As you can see behind me, in today's episode, I bought a 30-year-old, 44-foot long Italian yacht. And we're gonna fix it up. Stay tuned. As I've learned over the last week, yacht buying is no easy task. It's actually pretty difficult, but I brought the camera along, so let me update you guys on the story and how we got here. So this whole thing started with me and Chelsea just sitting in our living room watching TV with our fruit. We're watching Murder Mystery on Netflix. It's a stupid Adam Sandler movie. It's not that bad though. Anyways, I'm sitting here watching this and I'm realizing most of this is filmed on a yacht. And I got to thinking, I was like, Chelsea, wouldn't it be crazy if we got a yacht? My grandma thought it was hilarious. But then I explained to Chelsea that there's a problem with having a big boat in Portland. So here's Portland right here. This circle is downtown Portland right here. That's a cool spot to be. This is where we live, not too far from downtown. And then this is where most of the marinas are. Now, you don't really want to be in these marinas for a number of reasons. They're cheap, the crime rate is pretty bad, and it's the wrong river that everybody plays in. Everybody plays in the Willamette right next to downtown. And there's only one marina in all of downtown. It's right here. And I had actually done research on this place when I originally moved here and was never able to find a spot in that marina. It's an insanely beautiful location. There's not a lot of boat spots. It's in the heart of downtown. It's right next to my favorite park in downtown, and it's walking distance from my old work and every part of downtown Portland. So I told her it was next to impossible to get a yacht parking spot in Portland, but I said I'd give him a call in the morning and just see if we get lucky. When I called the marina, the guy was super surprised, but he did have an available spot if I was a super interested buyer, so I decided to just make it rain, buy the spot before we even found a boat or even knew what we were going to buy. Just get the spot locked down and we'll worry about the boat later. So with our spot locked down, it was time to start boat shopping. Our only real requirement that we had for a boat was we wanted something with a nice interior that had a bedroom. So if we wanted to hang out in downtown Portland and then crash on our boat for the night and utilize that awesome location, we could. We ended up finding this boat right here. It's a Riva Tropicana 43. It's actually 44 feet long, but don't tell anybody. Made in 1990, so it's a decent year. Outside pictures are like, okay, it's a little rough. It might need a little TLC. It's cool because it's a lower profile boat, so for its length, it's not too tall, a little bit more our style, kind of. And then the interior pics are what totally sold us. We love the interior, we love the bedroom, and we're like, that's a ticket. This is the boat that we want. So then I had to go see if it was a good deal. Now, Riva is an Italian boat maker, and they don't make boats in huge numbers, so there wasn't a lot of cross-referencing. But what I did find is this boat was $25,000 cheaper than the next cheapest one in the entire world, and it was close to 40 grand cheaper than the next one, the only other one for sale in the United States. After that, I did a little bit more research into the Riva name and found out that there are these awesome Italian boat makers that make insanely expensive boats. And after it being described as the Ferrari of boats multiple times, I was like, we have to buy this thing. The next morning, I call the boat broker. I tell him we're on our way up to Seattle right now, and we are seriously interested in the boat. Tell him to meet us at the boat. Then we got squished into a ridiculously small parking spot for a Raptor, and then I walked out and almost got killed in some sort of weird Seattle bike street thing. We found some gay pirates, and then we're to the boat. We got eyes on the boat for the first time. It looked just as good as it did in the pictures. And I said to myself at that point, if this thing just floats and I don't find anything catastrophically wrong, I was going to for sure buy this boat. But we had to do the sales, negotiating, and bargaining. I jumped in and took a look at the engines. There was a little bit of smoking on idle, and I found out these engines are insanely huge engines. They're Cummins diesel 903s. They're in a V transformation. The pictures don't show it justice. It's the largest engine I've ever seen in my life, and all they do is crank out 425 horsepower, but they're built marine style, so it's a little bit different. Anyways, that makes it a total of 850 horsepower, which for a boat this size is an insanely overpowered thing, which is how the Italians make it, which is why I loved it so much. So we then had our semi-European, semi-Australian boat broker, Ari, take us out on the boat. While Chelsea was Googling to see if Ari was single, I was taking a look at how the engines were performing and noticed that we had no more smoke once we got on. But once we got up to high speed and the turbos really built a lot of boost, we were getting a little bit more smoke. So I was thinking it's probably related somehow to turbos. Maybe turbo seals is pushing out a little bit of smoke, but everything in the mid-range from cruising to not insanely fast speeds, there was no smoke at all. So I was figuring it's not a catastrophic thing. I checked for crankcase pressure and other problems like that, and I didn't see too much any positive pressure in the crankcase, so I figured it's good enough to go. If not, I'll engine swap the thing. I didn't really care. I practiced boating for about 2 seconds, then I just jumped out of there, took a look at the interior, said, oh, it floats, we're good, I want to buy the boat right now. Ari then said, I'm sorry, we don't have all the paperwork prepared, you can't buy the boat right now. That's not really how boats go. It's a little bit more similar to buying a house. And I was like, okay, great. So then it's back to Portland with a quick pit stop at Hooters on the waterfront. Little cheers for our purchase that we couldn't purchase, and Chelsea already starts shopping for interior upgrades. A day later, paperwork is ready, so it's back up to Seattle, illegally parking in a bigger parking spot, back to the boat to take measurements for interior upgrades. Found some weird Seattle city goats hanging out, signed the paperwork for the boat, and the boat was mine. 2 days later, shipping is arranged, and they bring the boat from Seattle down to Portland on the back of a truck. Off of the truck into this weird crane thing, putting the boat really scarily high up in the air, then it comes down in the water. As soon as it gets in the water, I find out the boat's leaking. I jumped down into the engine bay of the boat, did a couple repairs, tightened down some seals, and the leak was fixed, and we were off. They pushed me out of there, and then I scarily looked at where I need to go and decided, you know what, now's the time that I'm going to boat for the first time in my new boat. I point that way, let's go that way, hit the thing in reverse, and we're off. We're boating for the first time, and it's pretty controllable. It feels pretty good. 18 minutes later, I had an update. I've been boating for 18 minutes, and it feels great. Now we're gonna try and go to the gas station without crashing into it. We went 3 miles up the Columbia River. Remember that river I didn't want to keep the boat on? We ran into some really tough weather, so we installed our roof really quickly, and I made it to the gas station. After 120 gallons of diesel gas, we were ready to get back. We gave Chelsea her first turn at the wheel so she could get comfortable behind the boat. We both, in the meantime, had done our boating licenses, so we were registered to be able to go. Then we found this massive cruise ship where all the Toyotas from North America get offloaded into Portland. And 16 miles later, we made it back to our awesome marina spot in the Portland waterfront. We made it. We're here. We're at the marina in Portland on the downtown waterfront, which is beautiful. But we got one really tough thing left to do. This isn't our dock. This isn't where we hang out. That is in the marina right over to my left. Now, to get in there, there's a lot of like tight corners and lefts and rights, and then we got to go forward and we have to back up into our mooring spot, our slip, or whatever it's called. Our boat parking spot is real tough to get to, and I'm hoping this doesn't end in me crashing into a boat, but it's the last real tough thing to do as a driver. And since I've had 2.5 hours of practice, I think it's go time. You guys, we did it. We have parked the boat. That was the single most nerve-wracking experience I've had in a long time. But the boat is parked. We did not make contact with any other boats. It's tricky, man. It's tricky driving one of these things, but we got it in here. Hell yeah. So that's the story of how we made it. We are docked, we are ready to roll, and we're ready to do improvements. That's what we're all about. B is for building, adding value to our toys. We got the whole crew here. We got Oscar, we got Kyle, and we're getting started right away. So let me show you around this boat that we just bought. It was formerly named the Riva Rosa, and it was out in Washington. This originally sold for between $800,000 and $500,000 back in 1990 to a telecom millionaire out in Seattle. He had it shipped over from Italy. This is a Riva. This is a Riva Tropicana 43. Riva is an Italian boat brand that builds things just like the Italian car makers kind of did. Giant engine, long front nose, super baller interior. Not exactly the most reliable thing in the world, but very pretty. So that's exactly what we got here. With a little bit of TLC, this boat is going to clean up so much, and these boats are worth a ton of money. So this used to be called the Riva Rosa. By the end of this episode, this will be called the B is for boat. That is our official Coast Guard name, hailing from Portland, Oregon. So we have to put both of those things on the back of the boat. So what can I tell you about the back here? That's the back of a boat. I learned in my boating lessons that's called a transom. And then coming in here, we have this massive section right here that used to be filled with furniture. So there's furniture going through here, around there, cut off for a bar, a wet area right there, and then you have the helm and you have the passenger seats and stuff like that. So that's part of what we're going to be working on, is replacing the furniture and getting new furniture in here. We have a tabletop, which I will show you guys a little bit later in the episode, that we're utilizing that Lamborghini. Keeping with the Italian heritage, we're using our Lamborghini box, and we're going to build a Lamborghini tabletop that's going to go right there. This is actually a hydraulic table, so you can hit a switch and it'll go up or down based on where you want to go. So yeah, part of the reason that this boat was cheaper is because you know, the things like the furniture are gone. There's some rough edges here and there and stuff like that, so we got a very, very good deal. But yeah, so we're going to build our new furniture. Let me keep going forward, and I'll show you guys kind of the rest of the boat. So this is the helm where I've been driving all day. Half of these gauges don't work, but just enough of them that are important work. This was something, don't know, doesn't work. Something, don't know, doesn't work. Generator, knot meter, whatever it's called, speedometer, doesn't work. And radar. Also doesn't work, totally outdated. The important thing though, the radio, so you can hail the Coast Guard if you need help, that does work. So what we do is we replace this, and this with that. Isn't the future great? Just a little iPhone mounted right there, and that gives us our GPS, our essentially radar, and a bunch of other really good information, and our speed. So that is the helm. That's a little spot for other people over here, and this is where the door kind of slides shut, which is very, very nice. And then this is where the yacht part comes in. Now this is technically called an express cruiser, but you better believe I'm gonna call it a yacht until the day I die. We decided anything that has a bedroom in it has a yacht, or is a yacht. Before we go there, up front is a bunch of room for people to hang out. That's very, very like hard, thick fiberglass, and you can stand on there, you can hang out on there, you can have 5 girls on there. If you check the manual, the brochure for this boat, that's what it looked like back in 1990. 5 guys in the back, 6 girls up front. We are about to name it Boat B is for Boat Girls, but walking into the cabin, you could see kind of why it's worth the money that it was worth. It's all very, very nicely like updated, and everything's like kept up nicely. I mean, we've thrown a lot of trash and supplies in here already, but got our circuit breakers over here, our nice little windows. Those are so cool when you're driving on the water and you're going like 10 knots. You can see the water kind of splashing through there. It looks epic. Coming through here, we got our microwave, our dishes. You guys want to see some real Italian stuff? Every single one of these dishes interlocks with the other one, and they all have, well, these are German. I don't know why they're there, but these are all built for the boat. All the china is designed for this boat, and it all interlocks with each other and all sits in the right spot. And then when you go to the silverware, where's the silverware? When you go to the silverware, it's real silver, which hasn't been polished for a while. And every fork, every knife, everything is all silver, and it says, you know, made in Italy, where the boat was made, and it's got Riva engraved on the back. So I'm gonna get these all cleaned up, and they all have their own little spot where they belong, so they don't clank around when you are, what's it called? At sea or whatever, when you're cruising. So that's really cool. I like that. Fridge right here, microwave right here. That's all good. TV probably gonna go right about there. I don't think we need the thing. This converts into a bed if you need it. This also converts into a bed if you need it. Chelsea put up some American lanterns. That's really nice. We got a cassette player, so when people come, they're gonna have to bring cassettes. This is the bathroom. It looks really, really nice. Opens from both sides. You actually have a shower right here, or if you want to close that up, you can take a shower. Toilet, sink, they all work. That's all really nice. Chelsea passed out so hard. I've been filming this whole thing, and she has not moved. We had to wake up at 6 in the morning this morning to get going, and yeah. So anyways, this is the bedroom. We're gonna redo all the bedding, and we're gonna do everything else over the weekend, but clearly the bed works. So this is essentially like if a yacht screwed a jet boat and had a baby in Italy, this would be it. It's the best of both worlds. We can go play on the river or wherever we are, and we can have fun and we can do water sports, but then if we want to go out on the ocean, we can do that. And then if we want to just have a nice night on the boat and sleep here, we can do that too. So we kind of like bought a yacht, but we also bought a play around boat. But then because we bought this awesome parking spot, and we got the parking spot of my dreams, we also bought like a downtown Portland apartment. And if you were to look up there, like that apartment right there, that costs like $2,400 a month. So it's a good discount from the $500 a month we pay for our parking here. All right, the boat's awesome. I've showed you around. Let's get down to work. So for the boat to be shipped here, we had to take our, this is like the light that you use for when you're parked. You're anchored out in the river or the ocean or whatever, so people can see you. That needs to be flipped up, but they had to flip it down for shipping. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this thing up. But while we're up there, Chelsea thinks that this radar is outdated, looks ugly. Also, it doesn't work anymore because all the radar stations have upgraded and they don't use the same signal. It's like having an old Nokia brick phone that plays Snake and trying to use it to make a phone call these days. It just won't work anymore. So we're gonna try and uninstall it if we can do a clean uninstall and build a block off plate in time. What we're doing here, a lot of what we're doing here is a race for the 4th of July. Today's the 2nd of July, and by the 4th we need to be out on the water partying, so we're getting to work. Let's see how this goes. We got that old outdated radar down, and we are gonna go ahead and build a block off plate there. And on top of that block off plate, I might build a either wakeboard or surfboard rack to go on top of this thing. Not totally sure. I don't want it to look too tacky, but I also need somewhere to put my wake surfboard. I've never been wake surfing. I've been surfing a lot, but this thing kicks up a really good wake, and I do want to learn how to wake surf, and I have a board that should work, so I need some storage space. I think that's where it's gonna go. Not totally sure. Let's not worry about that. Radar's gone. So the next thing we gotta do is start planning our improvements. Now, the only thing that came with the boat's interior was this leftover giant fiberglass thing that we are gonna try and kind of make not shit. And so what we got to do is we got to start figuring out where we're going to put that, and where we're going to put our bar, and where we're going to put our benches and our seating and our tabletop and that sort of stuff. Here's what we figured out, guys. So these snaps that were put in right here, here, and here, they were probably meant to catch this kind of back awning and stuff like that, but they weren't there stock, because these holes actually match up with that, and that hole matches up with that over there. When you push this against the wall, the snaps actually block the chair from sitting here. This is OEM. This came with the boat. Those probably didn't, because they wouldn't block an OEM part. So we're gonna go ahead and drill those snaps out on both sides so nobody leans their back into like a really painful like snap situation. And then the bar, I think we're gonna have just enough room to slide the bar in right here, which would be really great. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble the bar, drill those out, screw this in, and screw that down to the floor. Alright guys, we got a lot of stuff set up. So we got our bench area right here. We're gonna have to trim some of those cushions once we figure that out, but we got to figure out our ice chest placement, which is probably gonna go right about here, and we're working on figuring out a garbage can. Tomorrow we got to make a big top for this thing that we can then put some stuff that's kind of this pattern on here. So we wrote out the schematics. I'm gonna take those back to the shop, and we're gonna go to the shop right now and work on building a Lamborghini tabletop. So we just finished building our tabletop. You guys saw we took the side of the Lamborghini box, we cut it off, we stained it to match the rest of the wood on the interior of the boat, and then we threw a layer of resin over it. The resin had a reaction with the stain and it wasn't happy, so we kind of had to like scrape all that we could off and get it nice and thin, and then it actually dried up pretty nicely. I would love to put another layer of resin on this right now and have it totally gloss up, but then it wouldn't be ready for the 4th. So as it is right now, it's nice, it's dry, it's a good texture, it's kind of like a semi-gloss. In some parts it's glossy, in some parts it's a little bit more flat where the wood absorbed it. But what we know is it's for sure going to be waterproof, and it'll be able to handle drinks and random stuff like that for the 4th. And then after the 4th, we'll go ahead and pull it back off the boat, and we'll bring it back in the shop and get a really, really nice thick layer of resin on there so it looks really nice. But overall, this is totally going to work. So we're going to load that up in the truck, and we can start working on the next thing for the boat. All right, we're back on the boat. Today's July 3rd, so it is our last day of preparation before the 4th. So hopefully this whole back end will look really nice before we're done. So the guys I'm gonna have start working on the table. So we got our tabletop over there. We're gonna offset it a little bit, so somebody sitting right here might be able to kind of tuck their legs in between that bench seat. We're gonna offset it a little bit, get the screws in there. While they're working on that, I'm gonna go ahead and take this thing down. We're gonna invert it real quick so I can work on the lights. That light and that light both don't work. That one's for if you're anchored down. That one's to show people your forward motion. And then this green light over here was out as well, but I found out that one was a burnt out bulb. I'm hoping these two are burnt out bulbs as well, because you know, the goal is to have this thing out on the 4th to watch the fireworks. There's gonna be a barge somewhere out on the river over there that shoots fireworks off, and you can literally sit on your boat right underneath it. But we couldn't be out at night unless we have all of our navigation lights, because then it's super illegal. So I got to get these fixed. That's a must fix right now. Okay, so you guys saw I ran up there and I tried to put in a new bulb thinking that was going to be it, and we threw it in there. Unfortunately, that didn't fix it, and so we used the voltmeter trying to test it. This is the same as what we do with cars, except we're expecting 24 volts to be flying through there. It did not work. So then we're looking at the fuses now. That's the next best bet. This is so cool. This is a handwritten fuse map from Italy. It's all in Italian on this side, and then it's on English on this side. So everything doing with navigation lights starts up here, kind of runs down there. So what Oscar and I are going to do right now is the fuse panel is right in here, and some of these fuses are actually like kind of a white color, as you can see like that. So we're going to use this, and we're going to check for resistance through the fuse and see how it does. So we got to check about 6 of these real quick, and hopefully we'll find something burnt out, be able to replace it, and then get our nav lights working. Alright, so underneath there inside the cabin we were able to find a blown out fuse around the navigation system. So we grabbed one that was not being used from another thing that's broken on this boat. So Oscar, go ahead and flip that on, and then Kyle, hit navigation lights on. Aha! There we go. So now we got to work on this light and this light. So to do that, we're going to peel this thing down and start troubleshooting there. But the fuses look good on these, so we're really hoping it's burnt out bulbs. Alright, we've officially got a Lamborghini table. Probably one of the first of its kind. We are going to put another layer of resin over this, but for now it's really good. It matches the furniture. It's fantastic. It's good sitting height. It's good beer height. I like it. We had thought about raising it up. I don't think we want to do that anymore. I think it's pretty good right where it is. There's a little electrical issue with raising and lowering this because the previous owner ripped the switch out, so we'd have to rewire the switch in. But so that's our tabletop there. Now our bar is too tall in that corner, so we're going to take everything off of there. We're going to cut the legs down, sink that thing down a little bit, and then that'll be its final resting place. Alright, we lowered the bar level down a little bit. Luckily our grill fits perfectly under there, and then for the time being we were going to rail mount the grill, but until we get more familiar with the boat, we're just going to go ahead and grill on this table right here. I think it'll also be a little bit safer so people won't bump into it. So now that that's done, now we got to get this bench top. So like, you know, you guys saw the bench when we first got it on the boat. It's kind of gross. It really hasn't been maintained or anything, and obviously the furniture on the top is gone. So we're going to try and do, you know, kind of this lattice work on here, but we got to hide it. So we're going to go ahead and trim the edges off of that. We're going to trim the edges off of that, and then we're going to stain this thing to match the stain that we had on here. Then we're going to screw these pieces into this lid, and then also on the bottom we're going to need to do some placement strips on here so it doesn't kind of slide around at all. So there's a lot of work to be done on this thing. We're gonna get started right now. Oh, and while we do that, Chelsea's gonna go ahead and mount the glass holder on the bar. So underneath the bar, there's gonna be a rack to slide glasses into there. Well, very shortly it's going to get too dark to be able to see anything about what we're doing, but we're just to catch you guys up. What we did was we took this board, we cut it to length. This is kind of our backing board, stained it over there, and then we threw it back on. And underneath, I built these kind of like placeholders because there's an inset in there, and so I built these things that fit into the inset. So that makes the top not be able to slide around. You throw the top down and it's stuck in one spot. So now we're just going to kind of coat it with these things. So it's kind of supposed to be like, that's the backing. It's supposed to essentially kind of be hidden, and these things are what are supposed to look nice. So I got these really nice, can't see anything, it's too dark, but I got these really nice little screws with kind of decorative heads on them. We're gonna go one in each corner. They actually have a little hole here, which I'm gonna finish pre-drilling out probably. We're gonna go one in each corner of these things, and then we'll get them all set up on the board there and install them into our board, and that will be our bench finished. All right, guys, it is the next morning. The bench is done. It came out looking really, really great. It matches the whole, rest of the vibe. What have I done this morning? We're a couple hours from leaving for the 4th of July. Got the surfboard mounted up top here on some bungees. Next thing we also, when we were at home last night, we did a couple things. We decaled out with our vinyl printer the name of the boat so we can throw it on the back. So we got to do some serious vinyl work there in a second. And we also trimmed our pillows so they will follow the line of the boat over there on that bench. So the next thing I got to do is attach, we're going to screw these 3 single pieces together and make them one big bench. I think. I'm doing that because Chelsea told me to, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe they're just fine apart. We'll figure it out. First draft of the bench is done. So what I did was I screwed all these things together, and then we threw our cushions on here. I apologize, they have a music festival going on the waterfront, so it's a little noisy. This was, no joke, like a 4 a.m. sew up job, and Chelsea's not really happy with it, so we're gonna go ahead and replace these. The base of them is just an IKEA cushion, and then we're gonna modify it. So we'll improve on those 2 back ones, but overall, we're happy with it. So now we're gonna jump onto the back. Now, this boat is registered with the Coast Guard, and when you register with the Coast Guard, you have to put your name on the back of the boat. The previous name was the Riva Rosa, and then you have to put your hailing port on the back as well. So this boat is called B is for boat. Of course, we had to do it. So since we couldn't get this red writing off in time because it's like really, really on there, we're gonna need more time to process it. What we decided to do is, this is temporary, but we're gonna do black vinyl across the bottom 2 rows, and then we printed out in white vinyl, B is for boat, Portland, Oregon. So that's the game plan. I'm not good at vinyl. We've been over this. I'm gonna try my best, and we just gotta get our name on the boat to legally go out on the water, so let's do it. Decaling is done. It looks fantastic. Now, we know it's bad luck to wrap over the previous boat name, but this is only temporary just so we can be legal for today. Eventually, we're gonna get that all clean, nice and white, and then we'll do B is for boat and black. But it's there. You can see we got friends on board. We're getting loaded up. It's time to go celebrate the 4th. For any of you foreigners that didn't already know, the 4th of July is a holiday where we blow stuff up to celebrate the invention of Coors Light. It's pretty good, and I just found out that watching fireworks in reverse is way cooler than watching them the normal way. We had a great holiday out on the boat. Myself and all my friends had a lot of fun. The boat performed exceptionally well. We had 12 people out on the boat, and we just had a great holiday, so that was really awesome. In the next episode, probably about a month from now on the boat, we're gonna troubleshoot the diesel engines, the smoking issue. If anybody thinks they know why that might be happening, the symptoms that we have are basically a little bit of smoke when it first starts up, but as soon as you get going, even at low speeds, the smoke goes away, and then a little bit of smoke at the top end when the turbos are fully boosted. I'm guessing it's a turbo issue, but it could be something else. Leave a comment below if you think you know what's up, but we're gonna work on fixing that and come back to you guys probably about in a month with more updates. 3 days from now, 3 days from the day this thing is gonna air, we'll have our next Lamborghini episode out as well, so please tune in for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little detour from cars for a little bit, but we're back on it. We got a SEMA build to do, and I'll see you guys soon on that one. Peace!